Hey YouTube, Modkip here. Another seasonal weapon breakdown video. This time we'll be taking a look at the craftable swords available in Season of Defiance, and whether they are worth the resources. After a lot of testing to see exactly what I could get away with, these swords are both incredibly unique on one hand, and just a sword on another. In fact, only one sword is a completely unique perk that you can't get on any other sword. The craftable swords this season are 3 Opulence returnees, which were essentially reskins of the class-specific swords you can sometimes pick up at Banshee, and Caretaker, a new adaptive frame solar sword specific to Season of Defiance. Now, before we go into which swords are worth the grind, we have to take a look at the perks. All of the swords get an explosive perk like Incandescent that matches the sword's energy. Throne Cleaver and Caretaker get Incandescent, Goldtusk gets Chain Reaction, and Death's Razor has Destabilizing Rounds. Here's where it gets funny though. Perks outside of those 3 are not consistent, meaning each sword has a unique perk combo that you can't get on the other 3. Throne Cleaver is the only one in the group that can get Enguard. Goldtusk is the only one that gets Adrenaline Junkie or Harmony, as well as being the only sword that has Valiant Charge in the 3rd slot. And Death's Razor has Demolitionist as a unique perk. Death's Razor is actually the most unique sword out of the 4 because it is the only craftable sword currently that can run Destabilizing Rounds. Goldtusk has competition with Bequest from Deepstone Crypt, and Throne Cleaver was released craftable with its competition, the Caretaker. The only other void craftable sword is the other half, and while the other half has Repulsor Brace, it can't get Destabilizing Rounds, as it is a new perk released with Season of Defiance. Not like anyone uses the other half for anything other than skating anyway due to Eager Edge. With almost all of the perks being standard across all other swords, we should quickly go over what a class-specific sword does in comparison to its competition. Now, Throne Cleaver is an aggressive frame, which is what sets Titan-specific swords apart. It quite literally just does more damage, and gets a slam attack for its heavy. This is nice as swords are, in my opinion, lacking in terms of damage towards larger enemies, barring exotics like the Lament. You can push this damage further with Flash Counter and Vorpal, as Flash Counter weakens targets after a well-timed guard, and Vorpal does increased damage versus mini-bosses and bosses by 10% on heavy weapons. The Goldtusk is the Hunter sword, and its special perk is being lightweight. Hunters get the only heavy in the game that gives you faster movement. If you want to lean into movement speed, this sword has Assassin's Blade, which increases forward movement to 9 meters per second for 5 seconds, as well as extra damage after a kill. The Warlock exclusive sword, Death's Razor's specialty is an extra damage or faster movement. It's a shield guard that doesn't consume ammo. Other swords consume ammo when you guard, making this the only sword worth using energy transfer on. Before I continue, I also want to add that despite Valiant Charge giving you on-demand sword lunge distance, it is virtually useless for skating. So I wouldn't recommend using this on anything other than Death's Razor, as holding your guard just for some lunge range is kind of useless, as well as being a waste of ammo on other swords. Okay, with basic perks and class-exclusive benefits explained, where does that leave Caretaker? Luckily it isn't a skip. The 3 class swords are a matter of preference. If you only really play Hunter, why spend all that time to get the Titan sword, right? I mean, you should, you did pay for it, but it isn't as pressing. The Caretaker, though, stands alone as the only craftable, non-class locked solar sword, meaning if you like swords but not playing Titan, just pick up the Caretaker. It's not exactly the same, but if you run Tireless Blade and Incandescent on it, you can clear adds really quickly, while being really unlikely to run out of ammo, even more so if you enhance the Tireless Blade to add an extra chance at more than average ammo return. How you build each sword should be unique to its playstyle though. My recommendations for each sword are pretty straightforward and lean into their strengths. Throne Cleaver should be built to maximize damage. I picked Jagged Edge, Heavy Guard, Flash Counter, and Vorpal Weapon. And I added a major spec. This should allow you to melt champs pretty fast. Just smash the enemy to paste, a common Titan theme worth respecting. Goldtusk, though, I went full mobility, and chose to express its unique flair with Enduring Blade to increase ammo to 80, Swords Master's Guard, Assassin's Blade, and Counterattack, which gives 50% buff for 2 seconds after a well-timed guard, or if you aren't confident in guard timing, run Chain Reaction or Adrenaline Junkie instead. Running around at top speed block attacks mid-run to get a 50% buff gives an amazing feeling of power when done right. For the Death's Razor, I went heavy into guard play as ammo retention isn't a concern. I went with Jagged Edge, Infinite Guard, Energy Transfer. You can also run Counterattack if you have the timing down, and Demolitionist. If you chose Counterattack, running Valiant Charge is okay here. I essentially turned my Death's Razor into an ability refunder. Blocking gives 1% energy for every point of damage blocked, and kills give back 10% grenade energy per kill with Energy Transfer and Demolitionist as your perks. I feel this works really well as Warlock is a very grenade-heavy neutral game class, so faster ability regen is always welcome. In some cases, you can even get your Rift back before the first one disappears. As for the Caretaker, a funny hybrid of sorts, perks are all over the place. The safest option is, of course, Jagged Edge, Swordmaster's Guard, Tireless Blade, Incandescent. But if you venture out of the comfort zone a little, you can get fun perk combos like Flash Counter and Valiant Charge, which allows you to quickly guard, proccing Weaken, and Valiant Charge at the same time, so you can jump right at the enemy you just weakened. Or you can run Energy Transfer with Surrounder or Incandescent, so you can get your class ability energy back and then clean up the ads right after. Caretaker even comes with the option to try out Flash Counter and Assassin's Blade. Weird combo, but perfectly timed blocks weaken, and kills speed you up and do more damage. With Flash Counter and Assassin's Blade procced at the same time, you do 35% extra damage. And because it weakens, you can run this on your Void subclass for additional bonuses after weakened enemy kills. Something to consider at the very least. I wasn't expecting much from the swords, as they are incredibly situational, especially in high-end content, but the variance between the four swords might not make them a meta pick, but they certainly can be a lot of fun to play with, given a build that highlights what makes them unique. Well, that's all I've got to say. If this video was helpful, consider leaving a like. If I missed anything, leave a comment, and subscribe as I'm putting together a video about the Raconteur. And I'll be doing the Imperial Decree after to finish up my Season of Defiance weapon breakdowns. If you've watched this far, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.